Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? I trust everybody's doing just fine. How was your Super Bowl? How was Bad Bunny? You know, here's a funny thing, right? I got invited over to a good friend's home. We hadn't been to his home since the last time that the Pats played the Seahawks. And it was amazing because it was like, wow, what a coincidence at the time we're at your house. You know, we've been, both Sydney and I have been out to have, lunch together, but we hadn't been at each other's house in a long time since that last game. But anyhow, we're at the game and he's like, hey, man, why didn't Bad Bunny, why didn't they get some captions to translate for Bad Bunny? But hey, no problem. You are here. You can translate for us. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And Bad Bunny started singing and saying the words, and they're like, Egberto. I'm like, hey, I speak Spanish fluently. I hear Spanish fluently, but just like I can't understand half the words in a rap song, I can't understand half the words in Bad Bunny's song. I'm like, my daughter's looking at me and she's laughing because she's going off the chain singing the Bad Bunny song because she knows them, But it was fun, you know. I wrote the show, the KPFT show, while I'm watching the Super Bowl. But here's the funny part. Anytime they get a long pass, I'm going like this with the keyboard, and it was fun. I had a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Sydney. Thank you very much, Sherry, and your beautiful daughter Jasmine, who is now a pharmacist. These girls used to play together all of the times, but we live so far apart now, and they all went off to school, different areas, and they met, and it was just beautiful watching them hug and reconnect after so much time. But yeah, we had a good time yesterday. It was a marvelous time yesterday. But anyhow, how are you guys doing? I trust you're fine. Welcome aboard. I don't have the first few dozen in the house in the Substack, but Richard C. Brown says good afternoon from Baton Rouge. Thank you for being here, Richard. Love you, my brother. Paula Partridge, Louis Anderson, Elizabeth, Richard Brown again says, Bad Bunny said it all. You got that right. Susan Jagoda, welcome. Joe from Los Angeles, California, Anthony Palmieri, welcome aboard. Angie Decadence. I just love the name Decadence because, that's my food, Decadence, right? I like it. Bad Bunny show was fire, according to Angie. Danced the salsa the entire night at a Super Bowl party. Mira, bailaste toda la salsa con Bad Bunny y con quién más? Oscar de León y su salsa mayor? Hey, who knows, right? Maura, welcome aboard. And in the house, we have E2247. He says, why was a display of love, joy, acceptance, and cheer so threatening to the right wing? Oh, E2247. I know you know the answer to that. The answer to that is they need us at each other's throats for this system to continue, for this system to be maintained. Remember that. They must have us at each other's throats. So unity and love and all of that, they can't have that. So they had an alternate Kid Rock concert that was a flop, where Kid Rock was lip syncing, and while his mic is down, he's still singing, right? But it's not only that, but not only did they have him lip syncing, but you know what? You know how many people printed out the lyrics. He fit right in. Look, he. You think these guys would do opposition research on themselves, right? Here we have the Epstein file things with a pedophilia scam, well, a pedophilia ring, right? And then we have Kid Rock's lyrics talking about liking them young and not legal. I mean, come on, man. You know, it fits the profile of not decadence, Miss Angie, but the profile of people that are trastornados, people that are, I don't even know the right word to use for it. But my God, guys, where was the oppositional research to know that Kid Rock wasn't the guy you wanted to go against Bad Bunny? I mean, they're in different classes altogether from a musical standpoint. You know, one has an audience, the other one is still living in the past of his one or two hit wonders. You know, Lisa Blair, welcome aboard. And of course, let me get to the top of the scroll because that scroll down. I have in the house as well AVQ, my brother from another mother, El Senor Michael Rudnin, the beautiful Yvette Avery Herod. How you doing, Yvette? Michael Rudnin says, Egberto, a long one to start with. Michael. Just because I love you and it was your birthday a few days ago, I'll read that whole long thing, but you're taking up my show, man. All right, let's go. Egberto, long one part. Hope you read it in full. Finally, the idea of a general strike, national strike, is entering the American public consciousness. Senator Ruben Gallego, we have to prepare for the outmost scenario, the worst scenario, which is they try to either capture the ballot box as ballots are being counted, they try to stop the count, they try to surround polling places, whatever it is. We need to make sure that we have an ultimate response to that which I believe has been a true national strike, in the sense that if they do this, if they try to overthrow our democracy, if you are allied with democracy, do not go to work. If you're a pilot, do not show up. If you drive a train, do not show up. If you're a teacher, do not show up. We grind the country to a halt. If we have to destroy the stock market to save democracy, we need to accept that. The richest and the most powerful people in the world and in the country need to understand that that is a real possibility. There is no economic stability without democratic stability. If you take away our democratic stability, we will take away the economic stability. Wow. That Gallego really said that. I didn't see that, Michael. I am so glad I read the whole thing. But you know what? Believe it or not, if that starts to take hold, that the plutocracy sees, if the plutocracy starts to see that the people would be serious to do just that, Michael, and all the audience, it wouldn't have to occur because they will make sure they will put the reins on to Trump because they don't want a disruption. They wouldn't want a disruption. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Michael. That was a damn good one. All right, E2247 says, see if it happens this way. The Nuremberg military tribunals of 1946 to 49 extensively tested the Nazi defendants both psychologically and psychiatrically, finding their IQs ran from 118 to 143, where the average IQ is 100. The least complex explanation, Occam riser of two competing theories. The simpler explanation of an entity is to be preferred, is that there is no horror saturation point for persons who are not stupid and not psychopathic, but who are entitled, prematurely affluent evildoers. Evildoers. I am not sure. I mean, I don't think being very smart prevents you from being a psychopath, right? You can be very smart and like to see cut frogs open and watch a rabbit in pain, right? Don't you think? I think so. Anyway, Egberto, what do we call this? State terrorism, human trafficking, mass murder, war crimes. The Guardian, use of Irish airport for U.S. deportation flight to Israel called reprehensible. Irish politicians condemn use of Shannon Airport by private jet en route to Israel. A private jet owned by the Donald Trump donor Gail Deezer was chartered by ICE for two separate flights that took detainees to Israel, a Guardian investigation revealed this week. The flights left the U.S. on 21 January and 1st February. Both made refueling stops in. You know what I don't understand though? What's the purpose in spending all this money to send these detainees off to Israel or the Balkans or to Honduras, and not Honduras, but El Salvador and all of that? I want you guys to think about this thoroughly. What is the sense in doing that? The sense in doing that is to get all my friends, the ones that have airline companies of some sort, the ones that build private prisons, the ones that have all these things, so that we can simply bilk the government, bilk the taxpayer for these services, right? We put them in concentration camps in the United States and we feed them maggot infested foods. Cheap food, right? So these human beings are nothing but cogs to make money for the prison industrial complex, the small airline companies, the small food vendors, and all these guys that supply it all. It's a shame. But that's exactly what you're looking at here. Because otherwise, why send them to Israel if you don't just want to give some money to that private air company? Why? Why would you send a few people on a private jet to Israel to deport them? Why? Why would you send them to not Yugoslavia? I'm aging myself. There's no more Yugoslavia. That was when Mariscal Tito was then the person who ran it. It makes no sense whatsoever. All right, let's continue. Egberto, did you watch the halftime show yesterday? Yes, I did. Too short, same topic. Bad Bunny. The only thing more powerful than hate is love. Together we are America. I know I can't play that. I know that. And let me tell you why. The Super Bowl, they control their rights so well that just a few sentences in the video gets you a hit. All right. Let's see what else we got here because I got some videos for you. Egberto, about, let's see, E2247 says there's no horror in a saturation point for persons who are not stupid and not psychopathic, but they are entitled to. I think I read that one already. Welcome, welcome aboard, Patrick Magner, my brother from another mother here in Houston, and of course Paul Fleming, another brother from another mother. Let's see, we got Lisa Blair from I think it's Atlanta, Georgia, right, Lisa? We also have para ver, para ver, para ver, para ver. No, that would be messy for them. Yuri Deemer from, okay, Deemer, the third time, off of 288. The third time. Leander, no, Leander's in up north by Austin. Anyway, I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it someday. All right, who else is in the house? ABK, better those shorts are reactions to the halftime show and do not include any direct footage, but does it include any music? That's the thing. You got to tell me that before I try to even open it up. Okay, welcome aboard SKE. Pasvitz, it's never happening. It's in the house as well. It's in the house as well. All right, here we go. I want to tell you guys, I over the weekend, it's a very eventful weekend. Not only did I have the Super Bowl to go to where it was fun, but the most important thing in my recent times have happened today. Deer Park, there we go. There we go. Deer Park. Madre, but Deer Park is not off 288. Deer Park is off I-10. Okay. The most important thing that I the most important thing that happened to me over the weekend, and it started at the start of the weekend, was what the high school students in the Humble School District, and I think all over the country did it, but I am in the Humboldt School District, and the Humboldt School District went ahead, and a lot of these students did a what should I say? A walkout. Some of them walked out early before school was dismissed. Others did not. Michael, if I see any of the shorts that I missed, I'll go ahead and play them at the end. So there we go, right? So these students walked out. I expected a few. I honestly just expected a few, especially here in Kingwood. That's what I expected. Now, here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. We got a lot more than a few. So I want to play the video that I did that included their interviews and a bit more. And then we'll get back with the program. Here we go. Protests has been growing throughout the country at an exponential rate. A necessary thing that one has to do when an authoritarian is attempting to take control of the country. Here in Texas, one would think that it would not be as large as it is around the country. Well, I think Republicans, MAGA, and the president has something coming. First, we had a huge election where there was a 31-point swing and a Democrat won in a very red district, and by not a little bit, but by a landslide. And we're seeing these protests all over, and I can't tell you how happy I was right here in my town, my very red town, that many a times have been considered to be MAGA, but it's changing rapidly. Where high school students created student protest against ICE, and they marched out, some of them early from school, some of them right as school was discharged. Many schools in the Humboldt School District, in this entire district that one would least expect to come out and protest as the ICE, against ICE. Interestingly, the school leaders, the principals, etc., attempted to stop these kids' freedom of speech, according to what they had to say. They said they threatened their graduations, they threatened their prom, they threatened everything if these kids stepped out of class to do it. Some still went ahead and left early to these protests. Others, as soon as it was over, decided to protest. And hear this, one particular high school, Kingwood Park High School, K Park, they walked over 3 miles as a group to the location of the protest in Kingwood. There are two major high schools in Kingwood, Kingwood High School, Kingwood Park. Kingwood High School had probably a quarter-mile walk to the location where they were going to protest. The Kingwood Park High, those kids marched as they had their banners up, as they spoke, no ICE, etc. They walked for 3+ miles to the location. And when they all got there, over 250 kids were out there. And not only were 250 kids out there, they did it peacefully. They had a few instigators that attempted to come in from Magaland. 2 of them got held in the police cars, etc. But it was very peaceful, orderly. The students cleaned up after the protest was over to make sure they left the place in a better state than when they got there. I am so proud of these students, anywhere from 15 all the way to 18. In fact, there were a few of them that the parents came with that were under that, elementary school students, etc. But they came, they had their protest. And the most important thing, I kind of went and spoke to a few of them and told them how proud I was of these guys who came out, and not only came out, but the intelligent things that they had to say. Before we close, I want you to listen to a few of them, and then we'll get back with it.
My name is Hayden. I'm a senior at Kingwood High School. where administration did try and stop us from using our First Amendment to protest by threatening us not being able to graduate, threatening in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, alternative school, just for simply using your voice and causing a disruption, whenever I think what's more disruptive is what's happening in our country. It said specifically for seniors, any senior events, graduation, prom was at risk if we participated. So I personally just didn't go to school because that's another form of protest. They're losing funding the less students show up for the school day. I know a lot of other students did the same, just because I don't want to give the district my money if they're not going to allow me to use my right to protest.
My name is Sophie. I'm about to turn 17 on Tuesday. I'm here to support what I believe in. I decided to come out here today because ICE is something that's affecting every community. Because if one person's hurting, then everyone's hurting. Everyone should be hurting. And everyone should be concerned about what's happening because they're killing people. And if you don't believe that that's wrong, then I don't know what to tell you, because it's basic human morals. It's common decency. People don't appreciate how much immigrants really do for this country. And a lot of the people that are saying, oh, just do it the right way, it's not that easy. I remember being like 10 and watching my grandparents constantly having to study for their citizenship test so that they could get their citizenship. And it was so hard. Those questions, I read through them. And as a child, even now, like, I probably wouldn't know how to answer some of those questions, because standardized testing to get citizenship, it's racist. I mean, standardized testing has been considered, well, it's rooted through racism multiple times in history. And I just think it's unfair that people are just saying, oh, just do it the legal way, when it's really not that easy. When if they took the test, they probably wouldn't be able to pass or do as well as they think they would. I just think people should be more aware of what's happening and stand up for what they believe in. Don't stay quiet, because if you look back in history, a lot of things go wrong whenever you stay quiet.
My name's Connor. I'm 17. Plenty of reasons. I mean, they've cut funding for my brother who has Down syndrome. He's been on a wait list since he was a baby, and they just canceled the wait list. He's like 16 now. And obviously, like, they're murdering people in the streets. That's a big one. The repression. I mean, like, there was so much that went into trying to stop this protest. TEA sent threats to us. They were saying that they would send us to disciplinary school for walking out. Something's got to give here. I mean, I would never call for violence, but we need to make change in this country.
My name is Don. I'm a senior at Kingwood High School, and I'm using my voice to speak out. I imagine they're going to make some sort of generalized announcement talking about the fact that they are probably disappointed in the fact that we're using our First Amendment rights and saying that we shouldn't have done what we did. But quite frankly, that doesn't matter to me. I'm out here because ICE is murdering innocent people in broad daylight, and nobody will do anything about it. Our president is endorsing this, and I am sick of it. That is the simplest word I can use. I am sick of it. I am disgusted by the actions and inaction of our presidency and our administration. I am 18 years old and I'm using my right to vote.
My name is Matt. So I'm out here because I'm against ICE, obviously, and I have a lot more personal reason, which is just like, I have a stepmother, and she immigrated here from Japan, and ever since everything with ICE that came out and everything that's been happening, she's been afraid to even come out of the house, even though she has her green card, even though she has her citizenship here. She is still afraid because she sees like what is going on. And just all around, like, over 70% of people who get deported by ICE actually had no criminal charges or convictions prior to their deportation. I'm 16.
These are students anywhere from 16 till 18 speaking. They are aware of what the thug in chief is doing. They are aware. These are future voters. These are younger voters. And these are voters that are not going to stand for what these thugs have in mind. Both the thugs on the streets in the form of Donald Trump's secret police, as well as the Stephen Millers of the world that are attempted to bring us back into the 18th century. No, they are not going to have it. Women are not going to keep allowing them, these men with a problem, these men that have a complex, they're not going to allow them to take their rights away. These kids, as they grow into voting age, they are going to make sure that this country continues to grow to what it is supposed to be, not what it currently is, under a bunch of guys who sadly are not only incompetent, but have an issue with who they are. You know what I wanted to, the word that I was searching for was that word insecure, where they think they have to assert their manhood by putting down women and putting down others. Insecure is the word. Let's see. What else I want to read? We also have the prison industrial complex is also a logical extension of our multi-trillion-dollar military financial investment, real estate, academic, entertainment, industrial complex. And he hyphened each one of those. I'm not going to disagree with you there at all, E2247. E2247 also says the $1 trillion war machine, how runaway military spending drives America into foreign wars and bankrupts us at home, by William D. Harton and Ben Freeman. That should be a good one. Lynette says at 18 they can vote in Texas, right? Yes, they can, Lynette. Not sure when they can sign up. They can sign up before they turn 18 if they will be 18 on election day. I think that's a law in Texas. Let's see. Lynette also says, I hope you were able to contact your senators and tell them not to vote for the SAVE Act. I don't think that stands a chance of passing. I mean, it would mean that they're really going to steal the election or try to steal the election if we allow it, if they to do that. Because if you know you're going to take a slaughter in 26, at this point you have to start trying to distance yourself from all the evil that Donald Trump continues to do. March KJ, welcome March KJ. How you doing? RCV, are you a Republican? Because the shutdown was critical, and if you think otherwise, I know the answer to my question. Remember, the pandemic shut the country down. It was planned, so strike. Remember, the pandemic shut. I'm not sure I understand what you mean there, though, but that's okay. All right. I think Michael said he had a. Okay, I see it. We have a few in one of our chats. We have a few disagreements going on. There's always a good thing to have some healthy disagreements. Let's see. Macaron says so. Like always, that what happens with socialist countries, we go look at what socialism done in this country. Let me go ahead and play that one. That sounds interesting. I hope it's not too long. Let me go ahead and bring that up and take it over there. I think I was having some problems on the other show with this. So if I run into problems, I may have to stop it. But let's see what happens here. If I can get that going, Michael. Let's see if I can get that going. Let's see.
Trump weighed in on Bad Bunny's halftime show, and if you're like me and have been reading the Epstein files, it is hard to not think about that whenever you're reading or listening to anything. He said that dancing is disgusting, especially for young children that are watching from throughout the US and around the world. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw that, I thought, why was he disgusted about the women dancing? Because he thought they were too old? Because, you know, a 22-year-old to this guy's like a grandma. Maybe what he meant was, it's disgusting because he felt like the young children should have been the ones in the show. By the way, it's worth noting, since there was a lot of celebration of all the different flags from Latin America in the show tonight, and Cuba's was there too, that right now, we are imposing a crippling blockade on Cuba, thanks to the lunatics in the Trump administration and lunatics like Marco Rubio, who has been obsessed his entire career with trying to overthrow the Cuban government. They are now on the brink of collapse with food shortages and fuel shortages and internet blackouts because of the blockade from the US. So, like always what happens with socialist countries, we go, look at what socialism does to countries. Meanwhile, we're causing it. So Trump weighed in on Bad Bunny's halftime show, and
ran into some trouble there. But yeah, I'm that is a let me kind of explain that. When people talk about failed socialism in Cuba and failed socialism in Venezuela, let me just point out something, right? You cannot say any of that. First of all, I don't want to give names to what I support. I support free enterprise with a strong social safety net. Call it whatever you want. That's what I support. Uh, Cuba, in a lot of ways, with some of the rationing that they did, they went to the extreme on the other side. When I say the extreme, I mean in ruling out certain types of free enterprise. But I think that was done in latter stages, not in early stages, and I think that was almost by necessity. But I can't go into that right now. But if you really want to know why these economies falter, they falter because we made them falter. There's no two ways about it. With Venezuela sitting on the amount of resources that it has naturally, it only falters because we made it do so. And likewise, Cuba. Cuba may not be sitting on the amount of oil that Venezuela has. It does have oil. In fact, Cuba generates a lot of its oil in certain internal parts of the country that they process themselves, but it's just not. They just don't have the processing power to do it in enough quantity for what a country that size needs, right? But Cuba does produce oil. But imagine if we just let be people be, right? Um, China is going around the world investing in other countries, and the United States is getting concerned. So much so that in my own country of birth, Panama, they forced Panama to break off a deal with China. Think about that. China had a contract signed, but they could do it. They could do that with because the contract wasn't all that big, figure specifically. But that's not going to work in Venezuela, where China has big contracts in and have invested already billions in Bahia de Maracaibo, where they're building deep sea things. But again, China doesn't try to get involved in your internal affairs. If you want to be a whatever kind of country you want to be, as long as my investment is protected, your internal business is yours. We have never learned that. We have never learned that. And it has cost not the politicians anything. It has cost us, the American people, billions. It has cost us, American people, health care. Because instead of spending our wealth in health care and services to support people, we supported we support bombs and other avenues to murder and kill people. Think about that. Imagine if we weren't paying a few $1 million for every missile that Israel threw up in the sky to get rid of the Scud missiles or whatever those missiles were called. Not Scud. Scuds are old. Imagine if all that money was used for health care, if all that money was used for child care, if all that money was used for these other things, right? How wonderful life would be. But instead, that money was used to blow stuff up. And as they blow stuff up, what happened? We paid the price. We paid the price. Okay, let me see what else I've got here. Para ver, at 18 they can vote. Yeah, I think I answered that one already. All right, let's go ahead and play my next video. This is from what I did this morning on WBAI in New York. It's an interview that I do every Monday, or the panel that I'm on every Monday with Jenna Flanagan at We Decide. Here we go. I think this is it.
Last week, when President Trump said he wanted Republicans to nationalize the midterm elections on the podcast of his former deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, he received backlash from politicians on both sides of the political spectrum. So here to help interpret what the president has in mind and if he has the power to do it in a week where Bill and Hillary Clinton are scheduled to give closed-door depositions in front of the House Oversight Committee is We Decide's political panel. Like to welcome in Egberto Willies, host of KPFT's Politics Done Right, Dave Leventhal, Washington, D.C. correspondent and senior editor at Notice, and Laura Jadid, a writer at firewalledmedia.com and an Army veteran of 2 tours in the war in Afghanistan. Thank you all for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thanks, Jenna.
All right. Egberto, I'm going to start with you. The president mentioned that Bongino, basically in the interview with Bongino, that, quote, the Republicans take over the voting. And do you understand what it is that the president is calling for here?
Oh yeah, he's calling for repression of the vote. Really, he wants to ensure that whatever. First of all, let's be clear: it's unconstitutional, and we should not have given it any merit. I think by us giving it, not when us, I mean by the mass media giving it merit, it gives it plausibility as if it is something he can do. But what he means is that he wants what is happening in Texas to occur. Pass laws that allows their Republicans to go into counties that are majority Democratic and actually take over their elections. Because believe it or not, Texas has passed a law that allows the state government to come into localities that are mainly Democratic and run it. He would like that nationalized. In other words, he's saying he wants to have laws where, well, in this case, he wants his Republicans to pass these state laws that can go in and take over these local elections. It isn't something that can be done really on the very national level because of what I think it's Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution says, but he will allow them. Notice what he said. Republicans need to take over the elections. What that means, all these Republican states get the laws that are necessary so that you can go into those locales and take over the election.
Egberto, moving on to another subject, the story that we're following this week, Bill and Hillary Clinton's closed-door depositions in front of the House Oversight Committee after they showed up repeatedly in the Justice Department's most recent Epstein Files document dump. I guess, do you expect we'll learn anything new? Is this perhaps mutually assured destruction? What is going on here?
I always say be careful what you ask for. If you notice, it seems like the chairman is trying to backpedal a little bit. However, I don't think we're going to learn anything new from having Bill and Hillary, other than I think Bill and Hillary are very astute and they'll probably turn it all against Donald Trump in some form or some way. So again, be careful for what you ask for. Bill is a very savvy politician, but I'd like to turn this a little bit because I don't want to give neither Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Bush, or any one of these, or Biden, a break here. Because I blame them for Trump, all of them. And let me explain what I mean. If you take a look at the small dump that we have right now of these files, not a small dump, but a fairly large dump with a lot of redactions, what we see is a nasty child abuse scheme that has been going on for decades. And the problem is that Donald Trump has been so instrumental or involved in all of this. If this data had come out in the 2000s, in the 2010s, etc., we would Donald Trump's name would have been so massacred that we would not have happened to give this, I can't use the word because it's not legal, this person a chance to have been president. He would not have been even thought of as president. As it is now, what he represents is so cauterized into people's minds that nothing that comes out in the Epstein's files right now will change substantially anybody's opinions or support for this guy. Mm-hmm. So we have totally, because of the failure of all previous administrations to protect wealthy people, because that's really who they were protecting, wealthy people that are part of this pedophilic scheme. By protecting them, we elected Donald Trump.
All right. Well, we are starting to run out of time, but I would be remiss as a journalist if I did not ask. And Egberto, I'll direct this to you. Largest newspaper layoffs in recent history. Over 300 journalists at the Washington Post were dissed and dismissed from their jobs. How do you see, is this just simple restructuring according to the marketplace, or Egberto, how do you read this?
Billionaire control of our media is a flawed model. It's a flawed model because they have to represent their interests. And Jeff Bezos is a poster person that pointed that out more as plain as can see. It gives reason for it demands that with this, we have a strong independent media, period. Because this points to us now that we cannot depend on a plutocracy controlled media, which is what we have. And it's not only Washington Post, it's CBS, it's all of them. We are in a critical time now where those of us in the independent media, what you do, etc., we have to assert ourselves. We have to go after, and I mean this dearly. We have to go after the mainstream media controlled by these guys so that the people are well informed.
All right. Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there, but I'd like to thank my guest, Egberto Willies, host of KPFT's Politics Done Right, Dave Leventhal, Washington, D.C. correspondent and senior editor at Notice, and Laura Jadid, a writer at firewalledmedia.com and an Army veteran of 2 tours in the war in Afghanistan. Stay tuned, please.
I want to go back to that Washington Post story because I don't think we're taking it as serious as we should. The mainstream media is constantly falling apart. We have CBS, who we can see that they are starting to they're starting to censor, and to put it bluntly, self-censor, which is actually worse. Because at least if you come out with your product and then your boss or your editor says, well, we can't put this out there because of political reason, at least you have the raw material of your research. But when you start to self-censor, what starts to happen is you start to tell the story that you are allowed to tell, and you fit the story into that framework. And in doing so, it's a disservice to America. As a good example is how to frame Venezuela, how to frame Cuba, how to frame what we're doing in Iran, how to frame these stories for the destructive nature of what they really are, right? If you are self-censoring, you are not going to come out and say that really the United States invaded Venezuela as a cash cow for private citizens, not for the United States, not for the people of Venezuela, none of that. Shouldn't be talking about invasion anyway, right? We can't, we have to understand how serious what the Washington Post is going through is. We have to understand how serious it was when Barry Weiss, the new, I guess, editor in chief of the news department of CBS, how serious it was when she stopped the release of a 60-minute piece even after it was queued. She missed it so badly that it still went live in Canada and not in the United States. I mean, we have to be very concerned, but in the process of being concerned, do something about it, right? And what can you do about it? That is why the independent media has got to grow. That is why the independent media has got to be funded not by these big companies. Like if you remember, Barry Weiss was right here on Substack. Think about that, guys. Barry Weiss was running a newspaper here on Substack. I can't remember the name right now. I'm going to look it up. What is the name of Barry Weiss Substack? Let's see. I think that's what it. I hope I spell her name right. Okay, the Free Press. Okay, it's called the Free Press. Can you believe it? She ran the Free Press and then now is running CBS News. I mean, it makes no sense. So you have to not only support, or I shouldn't say you have to. You don't have to do a darn thing other than dying. It is in all our interests if we fund independent media to make sure it can continue. But I want to go a little bit further because I just mentioned Free Press and Barry Wise. Well, is the Free Press something you want to fund? If Barry Wise is the actual result, or was is somebody that actually held back news? Is that what you'd want to? So we have to be intelligent supporters of independent media that moves it forward. We have to be. We have to be. All right, Michael. I think it's about time that I can get a couple of your shorts in, but you have to put them in there. Let's see. Uh, maybe. A, okay. Let's see. Okay. Let me tell you. Let me see if this may be the one that I spoke about over the weekend. But let me take a look at it and see what happens. Okay, yeah, New Jersey 11. That is beautiful. I'm going to give you guys a message in a minute. And Michael, how come you haven't seen the article I wrote about New Jersey 11? How comes you haven't seen the article I wrote on New Jersey 11? I want to play this one for you. This is a damn good one if I think if it's speaking about what I spoke about. Let's go ahead and do that now. Bingo. Oh, wait, where is the sound? All right, let's try it again. Where is the sound? Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on, hold on. There we go.
Special election that happened last night where the progressive anti-genocide candidate won. APAC, who put millions of dollars into this race trying to defeat her, and the other guy who was actually still kind of pro-Israel but gave them like a little bit of tepid criticism, and APAC was like, no, not enough, because they're extremist lunatics who also are funded by a lot of right-wingers, a lot of right-wing extremists, but for some reason they get to spend in Democratic primaries. And of course, they're not doing it under their own name. They understand how unpopular Israel is now with the Democratic electorate. So they use these PACs with totally unrelated names where they don't talk about Israel at all in the ads. PACs like United Democracy Project or Women for Chicago. And then they put millions into those ads to run against the progressive candidates on behalf of Israel without ever using Israel's name. You're probably like, how is this legal? Good question. America's really corrupt. And our media that's supposed to be holding these people accountable is so fucking corrupt that these organizations will come out and just admit that they're buying elections or trying to buy elections, and our media outlets will pretend like it's not happening. Like literally they'll never mention all the money spent during campaigns. Okay, so they acknowledged that they didn't put enough in, and they literally were like, we knew that this was a possibility that the anti-genocide candidate might win. So in the primary in June, because again, this is a special election, so they're going to have to run again in June. They're like, we're just going to dump more money than has ever been seen in a primary in it to defeat her. Because again, this isn't about New Jersey. We're APAC. We don't give a fuck about New Jersey 11. We care about whether or not you're willing to serve Israel. Do you got it? It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy that this is allowed, and it makes a mockery of our so-called democracy. This is not a democracy. You don't allow fucking PACs of any kind, let alone a PAC that represents a foreign government, spend endless amounts of money in your primaries if you're a democracy. It's a joke that we say that we're a democracy and then allow this. So the New Jersey special election that happened last night where the progressive anti-genocide candidate won, APAC, who put...
Okay, folks, let me just say this because this is important. She's mostly correct, but I think she made a slight mistake on that video, and it goes as follows. APAC was not trying to vote against this lady. APAC was trying to force the guy that they wanted to win to not win so bigly because they wanted to make sure that this guy would vote the way APAC wanted this guy to vote, because he came out and he came out earlier and said something to the effect that we are not going to support indiscriminate bombs to Israel, but we will still support it. I mean, and they wanted a clear and present answer. But I wrote an article, and by the way, the progressive who won, her name is Ana Lilia Mejia. Ana Lilia Mejia is the one who won that race. And it turns out that I personally know Ana Lilia Mejia because I interviewed her at Netroot. She is a hell of an activist. And if I'm putting the link that I wrote in the chat right now, go check that out because you are going to see what an unabashedly articulate progressive is all about. And what we are starting to see is that progressive who full-throatedly come out with the policies they support that most Americans want, they win. They don't go ahead and just call themselves a progressive. In fact, some don't even call themselves a progressives. They just talk about the policies. If you take a look at Taylor Remick in Fort Worth, Texas, in a very, very red district, he won it with progressive policies without, I think, once calling him. I don't even think he ever called himself a progressive. And here we have Miss Ana Lilia Mejia, who I have on the screen now. That's an interview that I gave her a couple of years ago. And when it was a great interview. I want you guys to check it out because now she is the congresswoman, or I should back up. After all the votes are counted, the trajectory is she is likely to be the congresswoman out of New Jersey District 11, a race that she shouldn't have won, a race where she came into the fold very late, and where her showing at nobody expected her because she had very little name recognition in that district. But it shows you right now, yeah, personalized campaign office. It is a reminder that progress. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about now, Michael. It is important. It is important that we go out there and let the American people know what the policies are that's going to be out there to support them. Important, important, important. Yeah, she's half Colombian, half Dominican. That's who she is. But she's great. She is great. Like I said, I interviewed her at Netroots, and I left there saying, "Wow! Imagine if we could have a house filled with folks like her. We wouldn't need any money to win. We'll just need money to get online, money to people to volunteer and walk around, and we win those elections." That's how good she is. Anyway, we are at 56 right now. If anybody want to call, give me a call in. Oh, by the way, I saw a message from Brother Patrick that I forgot to put out there. That is that Core Civic is a big supporter of a lot of Republican candidates. But I would like you to find out, what about Democratic candidate? My hunch is that they give to both, but I don't know. Let me know if what you found out, Patrick. Anyhow, folks, anyhow, we're near the end. Give me a call, 281-823-7747. Again, that is 281-823-7747. And I will answer, for a minute or two. Si alguien me quiere llamar, 281-823-7747. One more time, 281-823-7747. Okay. While I wait to see if a call comes in, I'd like to ask all of you that are on right now to consider if you aren't already becoming paid subscribers of Politics, well, actually, it's on Egberto Off the Record on Politics Done Right, Egberto Off the Record, which is my corresponding newsletter. We, as you can see, we do heavy lifting, and we make sure, we go to these conferences where we give visibility. I have two local candidates that I whose interviews will be shown shortly. Our one of the women here running for county attorney, and another one, I can't remember what it is right now. These interviews are already done, but preparing them and processing them, etc., etc., etc. But if you find, or if you see the importance of what we're doing here, and it's not only on this show that we do it, or on the KPFT show, we also write all these blogs and articles for different publications to make sure that we get our message out, fighting the paid messages put out by the right wing as they lie to us all. So please support us however you can. The way you do that is go to politicsdoneright.com newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you are on Substack, just click the subscribe button to Egberto Off the Record or my page, whichever one, and become a paid subscriber. It will make a difference. It will make a difference. All right, we are at 59, which means I'm out of here. You can email me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all. Oh, by the way, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, rest of the show. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. You guys know how I end this baby. I am what? What am I? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.